This is my audience number. Due to these circumstances with the coronavirus and the shelter in place, I could not manage to get a third audience member. Have you ever been bass fishing before and you know how to tie on a lure or string up a pole? Well, I'm here to help you with that. I've been fishing for about 4 to 5 years now. In this speech, I will talk to you about how to select the right type of lure and line for the right conditions. String up your rod and tie on your lure. First, let's talk about selecting the right type of lure and line. I have with me today 2 types of lures. You have your worm, which is slow moving, or your crankbait, which is fast moving. The worm, you can either slide it off the bottom or hop it in different patterns off the bottom, or the crankbait, all you have to do is just reel like at a decent pace, depending on where you're at. And according to shopcarls.com, you have the option of trying monofilament line, fluorocarbon line, or braided line. So you have to decide which type of line is best for your style of fishing. For my style of fishing, I use fluorocarbon line. It's this, on this spool right here. Now that we've talked about selecting the right type of lure and line, now we're going to talk about how to string up your rod. So I have with me today a smaller pole, not a bass rod, but I'm using it for the presentation. I've already went ahead and strung up the main spool right here on the rod. So that cuts out some time. So I'm going to explain how I did that. I'm going to take my string, and run it through the line guide, which is this metal part right here, and then you tie it around the spool, and then just tie a knot on the spool to keep it tight, and then you can just sit there and reel it until you find that there's enough line on it for you to cast however far you want to cast. The next thing we're going to do is take our line and string it through the eye holes. So I usually pull mine out a little bit past the eye holes, like this. And then I take it and then I string it through, like so. There's 1, 2. There's the last one, and then you pull it through, and now you have your line on. According to Instructables.com, the reel flip, which is this thing right here that connects it to the rod, is like a puzzle piece that firmly connects the rod to the reel. Which the reel foot is right here, and you can undo the reel like so. This piece right here is the reel foot. And then I'm going to put the reel back on. Go ahead and pull the line back tight for the next step in getting your rod ready to go fishing with. Now that we've discussed selecting your line and lure and stringing up your rod, let's discuss tying on your lure, my bad. So for this presentation, I went ahead and selected the crankbait. And what you're going to do, you're going to take, I usually pull out my line a bit if your drag is what can help you like that. Then you're going to take the end of your line. It helps, especially on these type of baits, if you set them upside down and you can string it through like that. And then you're going to take the opposite end of your line that you just strung through, pull it out about 4 or 5 inches, and then you're going to take your lure and you're going to twist it about 3 to 5 times. And then you're going to take your end of your string, run it through the hole you just created at the very, very bottom of all the thing, and then you're going to keep your finger, see how I kept the finger right there, so I can go ahead and take this and pull the line through. So now we've created a knot, and then the only thing we got left to do is pull our knot tight. And you can usually take your finger and just run it down. Now you have a nice strong not in there. And then you can either use fingernail clippers, or if you don't have fingernail clippers, you can use a pocket knife to cut off your excess. I find that fingernail clippers are easier because you don't have to, it doesn't take as much to cut it off. I usually leave a little bit just in case something happens and the string unravels. You can still kind of pull it tight, just enough where you barely have any right there. So now that we've according to videospaces.com, the right fishing knot is essential as using the right fishing line, fishing rod, or even fishing lure. In conclusion, to go fishing, you need to have a rod, pick out a lure, and be able to know how to string up a rod and tie on a lure. Teaching people how to select the right lure and line and rod to use while fishing is essential. And thank you for listening to my speech. Here is my audio.